We move on to react to the 76ers dropping to 2-11 with the loss to Miami, and then their supposed team meeting after the game. And no, I say quote unquote, but they had a team meeting after the game. It's not something in speculation. It's something that did happen. But there was some interesting reports that came out of that meeting. And look, the 76ers, they've been awful this season. They've been, there's a team now that brought in Paul George before the season to partner up with Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. And the relative expectation for this team was them competing for at least in a spot in the NBA Finals. I never thought they were a legitimate team to reach the NBA Finals, because the 76ers process has always been hard to get behind, just with the simple fact that Embiid and his questionable health. And well, usually we have to wait till the end of the season for the 76ers to pay that price, but we've already seen it so far. They're 2-11. Embiid has missed a majority of the beginning of the season, came back recently, and since he's wow, this cough is bad. But since he's been back, he has been really, really not at the level that we expect of him. He looks very, very stagnant. He looks like he doesn't trust his body. The movements is wrong. He had a little bit of an acceleration to him that doesn't exist. The athleticism is not there. He moves a little bit on edge, if that makes sense. He doesn't play with the free-flowing nature that he does in the past, and you're seeing it major. By the way, Joel Embiid is a player who regularly gets to the free throw line, and not only he gets to the free throw line, he makes his free throws. He is when he's at his best, he is impossible to stop. He's getting 10, 15 free throws a game. He didn't shoot a single free throw against the Miami Heat. Not a single one. That says a story of what he is right now. Not only that, he's averaging 14 points a game this season. 14.7 in the 3 games that he's played this season. That is 20 points less than the 34.7 points he averaged last season. The harsh reality is he's not fit. He's not 100%. And look, the 76ers, they are in a little bit of a desperate position. That's why, they put Embiid out there as soon as he can. But if Joel Embiid is continue to performing like this, you might as well. I mean, you're not going to win games with him performing like this, so you might as well let him get fully the time off, let him completely heal his injury, so he's not having to play like he's not having to play with the injuries that he's playing with. You know what I mean? Because if he's gonna be continuing to perform like this, why don't they just shut him out? You don't get no benefit of playing Joel Embiid if he's playing at this level. In fact, it can only be a detriment, because it can only lead to future re-injury of the injury. And if I'm a 76er, I'm seeing the way Embiid has been performing, and if I don't believe that he'll get better relatively soon, I'm shutting him down. You're 2-11. But I mean, are you gonna start? You're telling me with Embiid playing the way he is playing in the last couple of games that he's gonna be the one that turns it around? No, he's just not. He's not at that level yet. So you might as well see him out. The thing about the 76ers that gives you that will give 76ers fans hope is the East is pretty crap. Only 4 teams have a winning record in the East after this long into the season. That's unbelievable. You compare that to the Western Conference, which has 11 teams with a winning record, compared to 4 of the Eastern Conference. So there's some life there if you are a 76ers fan, because it takes one run to get back into the mix of things. And you still have Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, and Embiid, when they, all fully healthy playing together. But it just seems like the same old story with 76ers. And yeah, and then, it was another second half collapse. They have had multiple now in the last couple of games. This time it came against the Miami Heat, in which they got outscored. In the second half, 53 to 33, and Philadelphia, they had a good lead in this one throughout the first couple of quarters, but Miami did a good job to limit the bleeding in that second quarter to bring them back within the game. And then they were able to take over and go on that run that they went on in the third quarter. And it just seemed like it was the same story that happened to the 76ers earlier this week was going to happen again. And then now the interesting thing that came out of this game was the supposed team meeting after the 76, or not supposed, but the team meeting that happened after the Sixers game where, there was some open-hearted conversations. And what I love about this team meeting was that sometimes players, whenever situations like this happen, it tends to be players only. But the fact that the coaches were involved, that everybody was involved, I believe it did better for the continuity of this organization, for the brotherhood amongst this team, the belief in the coaches, and and there was no tongues held. We know the big report that Tyrese Maxey was able to challenge Joel Embiid over being tardy. Good for Tyrese Maxey, Just because Joel Embiid is the best player on the 76ers team doesn't mean he should be held to special responsibility, be given special circumstances if not following directions. And if Embiid is continuously being tardy, that's just a precedent as the leader of the organization, and that is not a part of the right culture. Like, I don't like making cross-sport comparisons, but compare that to Tom Brady for the Patriots. Could you imagine Julian Edelman challenging, I guess that's a bad example, but yeah, let's just use it. Could you imagine Julian Edelman challenging Tom Brady in terms of not putting in enough time on the football field, not putting in enough practice? I mean, that'd be ridiculous, no? And I'm not saying this is not ridiculous. Obviously, Tyrese Maxey is well in his right to do what he did, but it just proved that, maybe Joel Embiid is... look, I don't want to use a disrespectful word, but maybe he's getting treated too much like a prince in the 76ers, even though he hasn't won anything for them. We know the comments he had in terms of playing back-to-backs, and now this. It's unbelievable to me the way some 76ers fans will defend him, because he has provided nothing of value to this 76ers organization. Allen Iverson, he was able to reach the finals. Joel Embiid hasn't reached the semifinals. He hasn't even really sniffed the semifinal, if you have to be honest, as well. And, actually, no, he did sniff the... when I say semifinal, I mean the Eastern Conference Finals. And actually, he did sniff the Eastern Conference Finals. They lost on a buzzer beater, doink, 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 against the Kawhi-led Raptors. Which, by the way, is still to this day the most, impressive Sixers team, and the team that went on the longest run in the whole Joel Embiid era on the 76ers. But but yeah, absolutely. I'm very interested to see how this team will turn it around. I don't know. It's a difficult one.